This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store, Ready to Fight and Forged Irish Stout. Delighted to be joined with the cruiserweight king, Mr. Chris Billam Smith. I suppose Christmas has came and went. The fight with Masternak came and went. How's everything now? I suppose about just after a month after the fight, really.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Yeah, pushing. Where are we now? Probably 7-8 weeks ago, nearly. Yeah, all good. Had a nice little break. Went away. Little holiday of the family, but managed to get some training in the sun in as well. So yeah, no, I'm really good place and excited for this year.
Well, I suppose we'll talk about why we are here. Adam Azim and Caroline Dewara both out on the undercard of Jai Opetaia versus Dan Aziz. This year we could see, yourself joining you and Ellie with world honours at the McGuigan's gym. Caroline looks to be sort of one off of a big world title. I'm excited to see them back out on Saturday night and for big honours this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, I think. He's got a defence again of his European title, and he's still only 10 fights in. It'll be 11 on Saturday. Very early stages still of his career and learning to develop. So, in such a stacked division, I don't think he'll be fighting for a world title this year himself. But amazing year to learn and progress and show the improvements he's making all the time in the gym, and I think we've seen those in the last few fights as well. He's adapting really well in the fights, and he's shown what he's about. And then Caroline, I know the team tried to get this fight for the world title, and it wasn't to be. So it's going to be an exciting year for her. I think this fight and then one more, and then the one after this one will be the world title fight. So it's I'm buzzing for her. She's worked so hard. She just stays quiet in a sense, and just works towards those titles that she's going to pick up this year. And then once she gets her hands on one, I think she'll get them all and just take over the sport.
What is it like to have a gym where you obviously head of the pack being the world champion yourself and Eddie being world champions, but you are all on similar trajectories. You've all everyone is all singing off the same hymn sheet and everyone is all successful. So what is that like in a gym where the atmosphere, there's no one who I'm sure there's bad days, but there's no one everyone in their careers, when you look at, they're all got big potential and they're really thriving. Is that good to have that hungry mentality in the gym where everyone is so close to look at it maybe a year or two down the line, there could be multiple of you holding world champions? Is that good to have everyone on all similar momentum?
Yeah, it's a mindset in the gym, and it's always been the same since I've been there. I've been there for, we're in my 7th year now. It'll be 7 years in June since I first properly started training full time with Shane. But it's always been the same. Then Carl Frampton was in the gym. Josh Taylor was Commonwealth champion. Obviously went on to win world titles. George Groves had just won his world title. Luke Campbell came in the gym, fighting the very best fighters, pound for pound, in the gym. So that's just the mentality of the gym. And Shane sets that, and it comes from the top and trickles down. So that's the mindset. There's no acceptance of mediocrity in the gym, and it's just, that's what it's about, and we're just all striving to improve in every area. And when they started careers, it seems a long way away, and it is, and it was for me. But you just got to keep chipping away and believe in the process and trust the process, and that's what they've done and what they're doing, and the proof's in the pudding. The amount of world champions Shane has trained and the amount of careers they've taken, McGuigan's have taken from the off and turned them into phenomenal fighters and big money stars. Then so that's just the way it is.
Well, I suppose we'll move on to yourself. We know that there is fight news for yourself, but just looking back after the Masternak fight, how do you reflect on that performance? I think, not speaking for it, it's fair to say that it wasn't all plain sailing out there. You did have to dig deep to get to turn it around. But I suppose, how do you look at that Masternak performance? I suppose sort of 6 weeks on from it.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't my best performance, but partly due to him, partly due to me. I knew his style was going to be tricky. I said it all in the build-up. No one was giving him a chance. So when that happens and the underdog has a better fight than people expect him to, people put their arms up in the air and think, wow, this has happened. It's always someone's been amazing or someone's been terrible. He was winning on the scorecards, but I was breaking him down, and people thought I was getting absolutely battered and bruised, in the sense of the shots he was landing, but if you go and watch him and you see little shots that he's landing, like I'm slightly taking the edge out of him and then just taking the space straight away. So, and he couldn't live with that, and I knew he wouldn't be able to live with that. Like, there's always something missing with him in those world title fights, the big name, big punches, and there's always been that lack of something. That's why he's never been able to get over the line. I know he hasn't boxed for a world title before, but in those big fights he's got a few losses. And then obviously I did some damage to the ribs, and that was always the plan, was to hurt him to the body, and Shane always said that. Not many people would hit him to the body before, like the way I punched the body especially. So that was always the game plan. And then obviously did his rib. I've seen him say a few things after, like I headbutted his rib or something. Didn't mention any of the hooks I was landing to the ribs, and didn't think they could possibly be a cause of whatever injury he had. But it's a shame, because I was, in a way, I believe if there had been 2 more rounds I would have got rid of him anyway. But I didn't, but I got the win. Did the best job on him than anyone's ever done on him, with a below par performance. So when you take everything into account, I'm fairly happy knowing that I can box a lot better as well. Was there a bit of, and I know you wasn't overlooking Masternak, but there must have been some sort of frustration where, I suppose in that whole fight week, a lot of the talk was of, you know, Riakporhe being next and other these guys. When you were saying that of Masternak is, you know, he's well skilled, and we did see that on Fight Night. So was it sort of difficult at times where people were almost writing off Masternak and talking about what was next after it? I said to everyone it was my hardest fight to date, and it proved to be that at times early on. But yeah, this is the way the world works. It's all hype, and it's all about the next thing, and it's because they don't know him and they haven't watched his career. If you go back and watch his career and watch how he fights, and I break down the sport, you know, I look at it, I don't look at it like, oh, he lost to this guy, so he must beat him. Like, I look at what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are, so then I can break a fight down. And stylistically, it wasn't going to be an easy night for me. But we got the job done. It's a great challenge, a great name to have on my record. To stop Masternak in 7-8 rounds is a great achievement for anyone. Like I said, no one's ever done it. So my last 2 fights have been beating someone who has never done what they're with Masternak, never done that to him. And then the fight before then was a guy who never even looked close to getting beat, and I beat him. But you know, I'm not bothered by what everyone else thinks, but that's the facts of the situation. So I know what I'm capable of, and I'll just keep being me and let people talk. Well, we can talk about what is next. An old foe of yours, Richard Riakporhe, you do meet again. Excited to get this rematch, and I suppose maybe you may not look at it in this way, but you know, many people thought you won the first fight, so good to have this back again and get your second crack at Richard Riakporhe. Yeah, it's got all the ingredients, hasn't it? It's got the adversity of the first fight being so many years ago, the sort of what's happened since with me winning a world title, him having sort of a slower career since our first fight, but he's kept his unbeaten record, so there's all that hype, and him fighting for a world title, and it being an all domestic clash. You know, when you've got a domestic clash like that, people get excited anyway, especially for a world title, but the fact it's got all the ingredients for everything else, it's exciting, and I'm absolutely buzzing for it. What do you make of Riakporhe's career since he fought you? I thought he lost to Jack Massey. I was there on the night. At the time, I thought he lost to Jack Massey. And then his best wins, Gavaski, but what version of him was left? But at the same time, he's done the job he should have done on these people, so you can't knock him too much. Dion Juma, he's probably losing the fight, then got one knockdown in the 4th, and then ended up stopping him in the 8th. But he's getting out boxed. This is what I said earlier to someone, is the difference between Richard and Lawrence is where Lawrence doesn't knock someone out, he still knows how to win rounds and pick up rounds, but Richard loses the rounds unless he's knocking people down or knocking people out. Like, so what happens when he hits someone and it has to go points, and he's in a grueling fight, and all that happens because we haven't seen him in that. His punch power, you might say, because his punch power is too good because he's got rid of these guys, but at what level has he done that? So it's we're going to get some answers when that fight finally comes round. You know, we've got to get it over the line and get it sorted. But I'm 99% sure, as sure as you can be in this sport, that will be next. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some answers.
Well, I suppose that asks you a question. You know, what you mentioned there. Is Chris Billam Smith the man that will still be standing there at round 12 taking his best shots and seeing really what he's made of?
Or will Richard be still able to be there in the later rounds himself? It's a really good fight. Like, it's an intriguing fight in styles, but when you break it down, you know both of us are going to turn up, both of us are going to train well. There's no lack of motivation, but it's Richard's first world title shot. I've now been at this level and know this level and know what the fight nights and the fight weeks are. He hasn't headlined a show in years, so if we headline it, it's going to be a big change for him, especially with a really hostile crowd. Doesn't matter where it is. It won't be a Selhurst Park.
I was going to ask you that. Is it a Selhurst Park?
It won't be a Selhurst Park with his fake Crystal Palace fans like he is. Or should I say the real Crystal Palace fans supporting a fake Crystal Palace fan. But even if it's in London somewhere, like, I'll bring a great support. I'll have more people there than he will. And it'll be an amazing atmosphere, and it'll be interesting to see how he deals with all of those things. I know I've ticked the boxes, I know what it's like, and I could just focus on that, but he'll have a lot to deal with, because yeah, it'll be, and then when you get in the ring, he'll have a lot to deal with as well.
You may play it down, but me asking the question to you now, with yourself and Riakporhe, is there a little bit of needle between the two? Do you feel like some type of way with him that you may not feel with other opponents? Like, if you're being brutally honest, like,
I guess in a way, but only because we've got history. If I rematched anyone, I rematched Tommy McCarthy, I beat him, there was still that little bit of needle. I got on with him all right, but if you're my weight, and especially for fighting each other, there's going to be needle. In a sense, like I can get myself into that mindset of having to beat you. So there's always going to be needle. It's a little bit more because of maybe the history between our two, and he likes to say a few things to cameras and whatnot. But it all comes down to fight night.
Another thing I did want to just quickly ask you on, because I know we've been here for a while, but what is going on sort of Lawrence Okoli? Do you think that rematch is off the table, or could we see it still at cruiserweight, or are you not really sure?
I don't know. I have no idea. My focus is until it changes is on Richard. You know, until I hear anything else. No idea who will be after Richard. I'd like to go and unify. Lawrence hasn't really been mentioned to me at all since before Masternak fight. So yeah, we'll see. I seen he was at the, what they call it, super cruiserweight fight between.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
I can't remember who it was, but the WBA have brought in super cruiserweight, the 224, 225 pound division. I seen he was at that fight, so I didn't know if he was going to move up there. I think it would suit him from knowing him point of view. I think that weight would be perfect for him, but he might want to come back down to cruiserweight. So then obviously he's going to be at world title level, and I'm a world champion, so it may happen again.
Just picking this back up now, and you said you wanted unifications next. I think if anyone looked at the cruiserweight rankings, they'd say you're either number 1 or number 2. And another name that people would consider as one of the best is Jai Opetaia. We know he has Maris Bradis to deal with, but when you see what he's doing, you see the hype that he's got, similar to yourself, and you see he's been over to the UK before and he's knocked out Jordan Thompson. That must intrigue you to be a massive, massive cruiserweight unification.
Yeah, absolutely. But he has got a very hard fight in Bradis. Me and him have both got tough tasks next, and their fights we're going to have to come through. But if he does come through it, then yeah, he'll have the IBF again. So I'll be absolutely, be looking at any of the belts next. But that fight has got to happen down the line. Eventually, all roads will lead to that fight if we both keep winning. and yeah, it's an exciting fight again.
Just a final one from me. We know that you are at the top of the tree when it comes to domestic heavy cruiserweight, but do you pay much attention to the British level? You know, we did see Chev Clark have a destruction job on Tommy McCarthy, and we do see what Vidal doing, we see what Isaac's doing. Even though you're a world champion, do you pay attention to what's happening sort of beneath you?
I watched the fights. I watched the fights. I watched the show at the weekend, the zone show. So it was, of course, I'm going to watch that fight. I've boxed Chev twice in the amateurs and Tommy twice in the pros. So an interesting fight. I think Tommy's not really in the sport properly anymore. But Chev does what he does best, starts fast, got rid of him early, did the best job on him than anyone's done on him. So I watch the fights, pay attention. I don't think, no disrespect, but I don't think that they're near the top level yet. And you wouldn't expect him to be in 6-7 fights or whatever Chev's had. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of the sport, so I watch the sport. So yeah, whether that's cruiserweights or welterweights or whatever it may be. So but I'm not looking at them from an opponent point of view as such. So it may get to that stage. Keep building, they keep winning, then that may be the case.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you for taking time to speak to me. Appreciate you catching up with you, mate. And hopefully we'll catch up when you got a fight date with Richard Riakporhe for a massive fight, mate. Appreciate your time as always, mate. And yeah, all the best, mate. Top man. Thank you.
We need to think of a new advert for freebets.com.
Get your best betting offers from freebets.com.
Yeah, that'll do.
The following deals are now live.